Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and we are going to start a commercial project. So this is the first step. In this video, we're going to draw a diagram of the building footprint, and then we're going to add a grid that we can build from. A lot of times in civil engineering, you're working with very large spaces, and using grids to define that space first makes your job a lot easier. So what we're going to do, start a new project. We're going to use the architectural template, and what I've done with mine, I drag my project browser over here, so I have my properties on the left side and my project browser on the right side. For me, it's just easier to navigate. One of the problems that we are going to have right off the bat is this building isn't going to fit inside these elevation views, so we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to click this one on the right, and then we're going to use the arrow key, and we're going to press it 40 times. And what that does is it moves it 20 spaces over. We're going to grab these two and press 20 times. Okay. And then we can grab the top or the bottom. We'll pick the top, and we're going to go up 20 times. And then we're going to grab these two and go up 10 times. Okay, now we've got our elevation set that our building will fit in this space. The building we're designing is actually very large. So that's the first thing we have to do. So I'm going to stop right there and hit save, Control S, and then go to you should make a folder for your commercial design project. I'm going to be using a folder that I called the Jim Reno 2021. And this is going to be my video model. Name it something that makes sense to you. Please use something better than Project 1. You could call it the Gem Project or whatever you want. I don't care about the file name. Just needs to make sense to you. All right? Know where it's at. Next thing we want to do is we're going to draw the building footprint. So we're going to go to Annotate and Detail Line. And we're going to choose the rectangle. And we're just going to pick a spot like right up here and click down here. And then I want to click on this number, and we're going to make it the height right here, or the width of the building is going to be 120. And then right here is going to be 150. I'm going to hit escape a couple of times, and we're going to grab these detail lines, and I'm going to kind of center this in these elevations here. So there we go. The next thing we're going to do is we're still in detail line. Actually, I'm just moving things. So I'm going to hit escape a couple of times. We're going to go back to annotate, detail line, and this time we're going to use a 10-foot offset. And I'm going to choose this one that lets us pick lines. And we're going to go around the building footprint like this. And I'll explain this in just a moment. And then just to keep things tidy, I'm going to remove the offset and change it to 0. Choose a single line. I'm going to zoom in on this. And I don't know that this step is really necessary, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm just connecting the corners to the outsides here. This is going to help me align my grid. That's all this is. We're going to delete this as soon as we finish putting our grid in place. All right, so now I've got those. All right, so what we're going to use this for, I'm going to press escape a couple of times, is this is going to help us lay out our grid. We're going to have grid lines running left and right. We're going to have grid lines running top to bottom. We're going to put letters starting with A down here, going to the top, and numbers starting with 1 over here, going from left to right. When we get all these grids in place, then we're going to delete these lines. So let's go to architecture. And we're going to choose the button over here that says grid. And we have to put our first one in place. I want the header to be at the bottom. So I'm going to start at the top. Actually, let's do left to right first. I want the header to be at the right side. We're going to start over here on the far left and go to the right and click. And then if you zoom in on that, you'll see there's a 1. We want these to be letters, so we're going to change this from 1 to an A by clicking on it. All right. And now we're going to set up our second one. On this side, I want the grid to be spaced every 20 feet. So we're going to go up this line until I get to exactly 20. I'm going to click, zoom out, go straight across, and click here. Notice that it already put a B. And I could go through and do these one at a time, but we're going to hit escape a couple of times, choose modify, click this line, and then do copy. And we're going to check multiple. So I'm going to click the first one, and then we're going to go to the second one, and see how it just put a third one there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see everything. We'll scoot that more to the center. So all I'm doing now is I'm just going to the next place I want it. So I'm going to go to this grid line, the next grid line it puts, the next one it puts, and we're going to do that all the way until it gets to the very top one right here. Okay, so if I look now, I have grid lines from the bottom to the top, A through G. I'm taking a little bit of poetic license. These are pretty close together for a commercial design, but I'm doing this so that we can just get close to the size of the gymnasium without having to do a lot of weird things. So, all right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put grids from the top to bottom, and they're going to be numbered 1 through 7, I think is what we end up with. So I'm going to go to architecture. Again, we'll choose the grid button. I'm going to start at the top, pull down to the bottom, and I'm going to zoom in on that. That's going to say H. I'm going to click on the H and change it to 1. And these are going to be numbers. And this is very typical for laying out a grid. You would have one direction labeled with numbers and the other direction labeled with letters. So we're going to space these 25 feet. So go to exactly 25. And again, 25 might be an odd number. Is probably a strange choice in the real world, but for our purposes, we're just going to do this. All right. Press escape a couple of times. I'm going to choose modify and click this line, choose copy, make sure it says multiple. I'll click the first grid, and then we'll click on the second one, and then click on the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, and the sixth one. And now we have all of those placed. Last step for this is deleting the detail lines. So if I click and drag from the top down to the right, it only chooses those detail lines. I'm going to hit delete. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here. We're trying to just catch those little detail lines. See how it's only highlighting the 2. Get those. Then we're going to click this one, delete, delete. We're just going to go around and clean this up. Same right here, and here, and here, and here. So when you're done, you should have this nice clean grid labeled 1 through 7 and A through G. Okay. Hit save, and that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.